Well, this is the thing. You don't have to go out and become like me, a transformational trainer. That's all you do. But whatever you do, you can integrate this into it, whether you're motivating a downline in a multi-level marketing company. To go beyond motivation and transformation changes the whole game. To do this we have prison programs with people doing it in the churches, people doing it in the schools, in the corporations, and so forth.
So what I'm hearing is, like, if you're a real estate expert, be a transformational real estate expert. If you're a nutritionist, be a transformational nutritionist.
One of our graduates is a mortgage broker, and she's now become one of the top speakers in the mortgage brokerage industry. And she does these experiential exercises now as part of her presentations. And she said, I have to turn away speaking engagements because everybody wants that rather than just another talking head.
Rather than just another talking head, which I think is a great segue to our next key to be outrageously successful. What is that?
Well, most people speak to a person's head, meaning their intellect. They speak to their brain. They're giving them data. They're telling them what to do and how to do it and so forth. But a transformational trainer speaks to all 5 dimensions of a person's being.
Now, when I first heard this from you, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it on the level of, okay, well, engagement and involvement and, touch people's emotions, so I'm kind of like, well, okay, I got it, and then you're like, 5 dimensions, 5 dimensions, and well, what are those?
Well, basically, we're made up of an intellect, so we have to address that. We have to have good content, good theory. We need to have our research needs to be up to date, so we're not saying things that aren't true. Number 2, we have an imagination. That's where visualization comes in and goal setting and that whole world, and having a dream and trusting your dreams. And also we can put information into the subconscious through visualization. This is what all the great Olympic athletes do. We have emotions, which are important. If you don't know how to deal with people's emotions, we know that people buy based on their emotions and they rationalize with their intellect. We know that the emotions are the things that mainly trip people up. Things like fear, sadness, grief, resignation, all these emotions. If you can't speak to that and deal with that, you're going to have a difficult time being effective as a trainer. We have our intuition, which is how we know without knowing how we know. And some of my best work, the title for Chicken Soup for the Soul, came through an intuition that I got in a meditation that led to a visualization that led to a brand that's worth $100 million right now. We have a body. If you don't deal with a person's body, like you have them sit too long, you don't have them use their body, utilize their body. Like when we did this little exercise.
Yeah, you brought people's using their body.
The body. Getting people to move and integrate some information into their body. Role playing, like you said, energizers, games you can play. We get people up and dance. Some people are really stiff. And someone said how you do anything is how you do everything. Right. If you're stiff in your body, you're going to be stiff in your thinking. You're going to be stiff in your relationships. It's not working.
And so because you're focusing on the 5 dimensions,
right?
People, it's like they have 5 times or more of just you make so much more impact on them, and they have these aha experiences, and they're just like, oh my gosh, this is the best workshop I've ever attended.
Right.
And there's this huge outpouring of.
Well, and also the more modalities you layer on each other, you have visual, so you use movies and video and PowerPoint slides and people seeing you act out on stage and be crazy. You've got auditory, so we use music. We use, my voice. We can have people sitting there and have 2 people saying things into their head at a different time. It bypasses their rational mind, goes straight to their subconscious. And then there's the body. So we need to be doing things like get people up and do a little shoulder massage every once in a while, whatever it might be.
So when you do this kind of thing in your own way, and I know you teach people how to do it in a way that works for them, where they're authentic and they're blending it with their message, they go into a company and do something like this. People are like, wow, this is the best training I've ever had. And they're looking now at, it's not $5,000, it's, hey, we'll pay you $15,000.
The feedback I get and the feedback my students get over and over and over is this was the best training. We've had 15 workshops in the last year. This is the best one ever. I've been coming to these conferences for 15 years. This was the best session I ever experienced. It's not just me, it's the people I train. And what happens is they end up being hired back. They end up being, have multiple engagements. People refer them to people because it engages the whole person.
But what do you say to somebody who's like, okay, that's all well and good, but I'm not a Jack Canfield. I'm even a little bit nervous about speaking, to be honest. what do you say to that person? Can they really do this?
Absolutely, absolutely. If a little Montessori person can come over from India and do this, I was shy as a person. No one knows this about me. I'm more introverted than extroverted. I'm called I'm a situational extrovert. When I need to be, I can be extroverted. But I prefer actually to be reading and be by myself and do all that kind of stuff. But you can learn how to be present on stage. You can learn. See, it's not about learning how to do something. It's about unlearning what stops you. It's about letting go of the fears, letting go of the limiting beliefs.
I like that. Say that again.
It's not about becoming something you're not. It's about getting all the blocks out of the way of what you already are. Everybody's curious. Everybody wants to relate. Everybody wants to contribute. Everybody wants to love and be loved. And so if you're just you, I don't want people to be me. I don't want to be Tony Robbins. I'm never going to stand up there and do this on stage. And he's never going to talk mellow like I talk, and that's okay. Everybody has to become themselves, but once you do that, and you're authentic and you're transparent, which is another thing that's really important about transformational leadership, is being yourself. And when you're authentic and transparent, people trust you, they open up more. If you open up and talk about your foibles, your concerns, your fears, whatever it might be, it gives people permission to show up as them. And so we're not trying to create mini Jack Canfields. I'm trying to create people that have the content, the skill sets, but have their own personal style.
I like that. And somebody I know that you've done this with is another one of your students who's with us, Sean Smith. Welcome, Sean.
Hey guys, Jack, Steve.
Hi, Sean.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you, buddy.
We're asking different students just to share where were you in your life and your business before Jack and the Train the Trainer program, and what's something that you learned that would be helpful to other people that are watching that want to be more transformational in their training?
Yeah, absolutely. My journey with Jack started before the Train the Trainer program. So I went to BTS, Jack's signature event back in 2005. And everything you guys have been talking about so far, I experienced all of that. I experienced, not becoming somebody different, but just taking off the layers and got, clear on my purpose. And so for the next couple of years, I just really, truly blossomed, and everybody saw this huge change in me. Everybody wanted to do, what wanted me to do to them, what they saw, the shifts were in me and so forth. And I just stuck with the work. And I remember in 2005, at BTS, I remember looking at all the stuff that Jack was doing in the room with people, the processing, all the transformations that were happening, and I just knew I wanted to do that, but I didn't have any certainty, any confidence whatsoever that I could. I just remember saying, I just wish, I could do a tenth of what this man does. And so I went off and started my own training company and coaching. I was relatively successful. But then when Train the Trainer happened, really what it was this opportunity to kind of go behind the scenes. And, for my money, Jack is the best out there in terms of transforming people's lives and having these experiences. And it gave me the ability to see what happens behind the scenes, right? The shifts. One of the things that I love looking at is Jack has this ability to know what's going on in the room and to see who needs to be worked with and to see what exercises weren't on the schedule but now need to go in the schedule and what needs to be pulled off. And all of these changes are happening just because he is so connected to the room. And these are things that nobody none of the participants would ever notice because they don't know what's planned and what's going on behind the scenes. Little things like he was talking about, the music shifts, and just to get behind the scenes, like get into the playbook and really learn the mindset and what goes on from a true master is what completely changed my confidence and my certainty. And I'm certainly not you, Jack, but I really feel complete connection with the room. And I have no fear of anything coming up, and I feel like I sort of have my hands on everybody's shoulders in the room and can deliver the experience that everybody really needs. And the fears are all gone. I've just become 10 times better of a leader, of a trainer, of a speaker, of a communicator, connector, because of hanging on to this man's coattails.
Didn't you tell us about the E-Women's Network?
Yeah, I didn't realize this until literally like 2 minutes ago. I was realizing that the opportunity to go to the E-Women's Network actually came out of Train the Trainer. because one of the great things, you got all these people from all over the world, and you just tap into people's networks. Like you mentioned, everybody's going out to India to speak on Pooja's stage. So a few months ago, I entered the North America's Next Greatest Speaker contest for the eWomen Network, and we fly all the way out to Dallas for 3 minutes. And you know me, Jack, put a microphone in front of my hand, you have to wrestle it out of me. So to develop this 3-minute speech was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But the thing that I think was different for me in terms of going into the contest was that I wasn't focused on my performance. I wasn't focused on being judged. I wasn't focused on the things that I was going to say, which I think is what is the big hang up for most speakers. What I was focused on is how can I be on stage? How can I deliver an essence and an energy that I want them to feel? And so that's the way I crafted my talk. And so I went up there and did a 3-minute talk and made it into the finals. And then we had a 6-minute talk, and I ended up winning. And
wow,
it was just one of the best experiences ever, obviously, but not because I won. It was just the ability to be on stage. I think there were 1,600, 1,800 people in the room, and that connection that I was able to drop into without any fear of judgment and fear of all the limiting beliefs that used to run my life, was just so magical. That's what I really took away from that experience.
So what I'm hearing is, I think a lot of times people think they're going to get, techniques and exercises, and they certainly get a lot of that in Train the Trainer. But what they also are getting is a mindset. You talked about a mindset and an ability to feel the room and really know all that's going on, plus the courage to then go out and make adjustments. And then we can just hear through your energy the transformation, even though you're all about transforming those in the audience through Jack's work, and you're also transforming, and you're really walking into a new, more powerful, authentic you. It's awesome. Sean, let me ask you this: what would you say? Because Train the Trainer is a commitment. It's real time. It's a significant investment. Was that at all an issue for you, or what were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, so yes, it is. It's an investment of time, energy, and money. And the thought that I had was, do I just want to continue playing life the way I'm playing it, or do I want to put into my recipe the necessary ingredients to go to a new level? And when I thought about it that way, it wasn't a matter of should I or shouldn't I, or what if it doesn't work? It was just simply, this is the next step. And I have aspirations to be masterful. And Train the Trainer is not a Jack factory, right? Like right. Jack was saying, it's not everybody trying to become Jack. It's what Jack is brilliant at is helping people become more of themselves. And so for me, it was really a no-brainer. It was like just simply the next step in me going to that master level in my career.
And what's exciting for me is people like Sean, they're now teaching me things. I mean, I've got a few techniques that Sean did one day, and I went, I'm stealing those. Those are really good.
That's great. That's great. Well, Sean, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys.
Thanks, Sean. Bye-bye.
I always love hearing from the people that you work with, because they love you, they adore you, and they really are so on fire, for the changes you've made. In fact, I know Rena. We've got a slide, I think, with Rena's photo, and tell us a little bit about Rena. I know that she's involved in.
Well, it's interesting. Rena and her two sisters have all taken our training, the Train the Trainer. In fact, the last one just this year, she is a lawyer, an attorney who does contract law and the copyright law and trademark law and all that kind of stuff. And she's integrated all of this work into her practice as an attorney. And it's really helped her be more successful. Her other sister, Amina.
So even attorneys can use this?
Even if attorneys can use this. Amina, her sister, is using this in the work that she's doing. But Rena is, she works with Mary Kay. She is a multi-level marketing, network marketing person. And she has taken this work into her work, and she says there's a slide there that I didn't.
My team sales are up this year by 204%.
Yeah. She said, I was so jazzed by my newfound growth that I returned the following year to asking if I could experience the trainer highs and growth all over again. So she came back. So the reality is that we've watched people double, triple, 5 times their income in 1 year. Mikola Latansky, who I think we're going to talk about a little later, when he came, he was also involved in multi-level marketing in the Ukraine. He was making about $100,000 a year. He'll make over $1 million this year just doing training. He's now become the #1 Russian motivational speaker, and he speaks not only in Russia but to Russian communities all around. And he's been speaking at conferences all over Europe.
Which is great because he's known as the #1 motivational speaker. But again, he has your secret weapon. He's really not a motivational speaker.
He's transformational.
Right,
but
he's a transformational trainer.
He's been dubbed
right.
that. He's been dubbed that. Yeah.
Exactly.
But he's doing coaching, training,
and I think
product development, all that.
And that's what will happen to you when you become a transformational trainer. You're going to get a reputation as being the #1 speaker in your field, and that's exactly what you want. And I think that is we hear that from so many of your different.
Let me go back to something Sean said for a minute, because I really want to underline that about what makes somebody a transformational or a better transformational trainer. Is it's not just the content. You've got to know your content. You have to know how to set up an exercise. You have to know how to process people when they get stuck or when they get emotionally plugged in, because people do. I was just working today in a thing with your quantum program, and we had a woman come up on stage to talk about a book she wanted to do, and all of a sudden I mentioned something and she started to cry. Now, if I didn't have the ability to process her through that right in that moment, she might have ended up feeling embarrassed. She might not have been able to talk. She might not have been able to go on. So it's knowing those skills to help people. But the thing that Sean brought out that I want to talk about is, he said it's about his beingness. And one of the things that if you want to be a really transformational trainer, you have to become a vehicle through which high levels of energy can move, because your energy it's as much transformational as the words you say. If you're saying something and you're not walking that talk, if you're not living that principle, if you're not vibrating at a high level of passion for the people, passion for the work, commitment to their change, focusing on them, not you, as he talked about, then somehow the work just doesn't get through at the same level. And so clearing that vehicle, clearing the limiting beliefs, the fears, the judgments, the holdbacks, the internal conflicts that are going on is critical, or the person's going to get up on stage, whether it's a training or a speech, and they're just not going to have the same vibration in the room.
And people can tell
you
instantly. They can tell if you're present. They can tell if you really mean what you say, and if you're coming from a place of love or a place of self-centeredness, or if you're fearful.
Or if it's all about you and your ego or your product sales, as opposed to wanting to help them change. So yeah, it's critical.